We're talking about mediocrity. Again, let me read a few lines from this document. In order to wreak his vengeance upon the educated natives, Sir Frederick began to set back the hand of the clock of progress by lowering the standard of education in the colony. King's College, the one that is in Lagos here, which was founded by Sir Walter Egerton with the ambitious intention of preparing its students for complete graduation in London University, degenerated into a secondary school of the old regime. So deplorable was the state of affairs that many of the capable teachers of the old regime threw up their appointments in the assistant schools and started private schools of their own, merely for the express purpose of maintaining the efficiency of the old regime. What we are being told here is that deliberately standards were lowered because the amalgamation has happened. The people who had to attend King's College in that period before the amalgamation were, mostly from the south, the Lagos area. There was nobody from the north that was coming to look for how to enter King's College. But because that amalgamation has happened, the children of the emirs now have to be admitted into King's College. And the standards had to be lowered all the way to where the teachers themselves say, look, I can't put my signature on this kind of certificate. Because the standard before that period was one in which you could go from your class in King's College and walk into that same class in whichever school in England. You didn't need to do any particular rehearsal. You went in and you fitted in, and now having lowered the standard to the point where the teachers, the ones many of the teachers felt, look, that was the origin of the private schools, all these corona schools, kind of, the many private schools of that era. That was their beginning. That the teachers you had to go to try to maintain the standards that was supposed to be for the school certificates and the Cambridge, whatever that the King's College will offer at the time. Now, from that time of pre-amalgamation to now, these same principles have matured into express provisions that became the quota system now with constitutional imprimatur. They call it federal character. They call it all kinds of things. But the important thing is to open up, to lower the standards to such an extent that you bring the worst of the candidates and give them the first slots. And then the best of the candidates may find space, may not find space. Look at what has happened to JAMB in terms of cutoff. Bring all the 36 states and see the figures that my son, my child cannot get into school even if he scores 150, 125. But there are people who will score 3 marks and 4 marks from Zamfara and elsewhere that will get into that same school. The mediocrity, if we remember Chinua Achebe's last contribution, the one he talked about, There Was a Country. In that book, he has said that the consequences of mediocrity are more damaging to a country than war. Because in that mediocrity, you bring the worst of everybody to come and manage everything for everybody. That is what has brought Nigeria to where it is now. Look at all the agencies of government. Go and look at the autopsy report on Nigerian Airways. Go and look at the autopsy report on Nigerian National Shipping Line. Go and look at the autopsy report on Nigerian NITEL. Go and look at the autopsy report on all the agencies of government that have been run aground to the point of death. It was simply mediocrity. Nigeria chose to put the worst of their people to manage the affairs of the land. And everything has come to coma the way we have seen it.